Hello there, Potterheads, and welcome once again to the Pirate Wandmaker. My name's Alan. I am the Pirate Wandmaker, if that wasn't obvious. Okay, so today we are back with another character wand build, and as it's near Halloween, I decided that we are going to go with a nice evil character. I figure it's only correct. We're going to go with a very famous Disney villain today. We're going to go with Maleficent. Yes, that's right, we are going to go with the Black Fairy, the self-proclaimed mistress of all evil. So I did find something mildly amusing. As I was looking up character designs to go and see what I could do with the wand, I decided to go and have a look at Wikipedia, and I found the description of how they managed to design her. And I quote, "Standard depictions of witches and hags were dismissed in lieu of an elegant, sinister, green-skinned beauty depicted as a vain, feminine fatale using a classic archetype of a bad woman." Well, fair enough. You know, I can completely understand that. However, directly underneath it says, "We designed her to look like a giant vampire bat." Good job, Disney. That's exactly what evil women look like. Giant vampire bats. If you have been locked in the cupboard under the stairs for the past 60 years by an evil aunt or uncle and don't know who Maleficent is, I will give you a very brief rundown. She is a villain from the 1959 film Sleeping Beauty. She dresses like a giant bat, and the premise of the story is that the king and queen decided not to invite her to their daughter's christening. Being obviously grateful about not having to be forced to attend such a boring event, she decides to show her gratitude to the parents by casting a spell that will force their future teenage daughter to fall asleep on her 16th birthday for 100 years, therefore giving the king and queen some well-earned peace and quiet. Of course, this was all ruined by some teenage boy who decided he wanted to get his leg over and therefore had to wake her up. I know that's not necessarily quite how the story goes, but I much like that version better. I wasn't entirely sure how I wanted Maleficent's wand to look when it comes to the blade portion of the wand. However, the handle, I wanted to keep the most prominent feature of Maleficent, which is her horns, as we can all agree. So, in the end, I came up with a rather simple design. It looks like this. As you can see, we've got the horns there, which is a main feature of Maleficent and will obviously make it her wand, as it were. As for the rest of the wand, I was tempted to do her big wide collar that she has, but I decided that simplicity probably looked better. So I'm going to have the blade down here. It's going to bend, be a little crooked, I think, and then I'm going to put a twist around it. I'm going to flatten one side of it so it twists slightly, and inside that twist I'm going to paint it purple, I think, while the whole wand will be black, purely because Maleficent is mostly black and purple. So I'm really hoping that this one turns out very, very nicely, but we will have to see. Once again, as I'm sure you can tell, my sound quality is really bad, and so is the picture quality, because once again I'm using my phone. I don't have a decent video camera. I do have this, which is a GoPro style camera, but its sound quality is even worse than this, as in it does not have any sound. It's supposed to, but it's really bad. What I will do is I'll do what I did in my last character wand, is I will video the build on this and voice over what I am doing. So, what we should do now is we should switch to the next camera of me cutting it out using my jigsaw and moving on from there. So, as always, here goes. Okay, so we start off by using the jigsaw, but being a rather naturally clever person that I am, I decided to have my arm in the way the entire time, which I didn't realise at the time. I was too busy concentrating on not cutting myself. As you see, I don't really use gloves or anything, or any sort of safety feature whatsoever. I did shoot the cat away several times, don't panic, I wasn't cutting anywhere near that animal. So the wood I'm using for this build is African Opeep wood. It has this lovely yellow and orange grain. I've shown it in a few of my last videos. I have some rather beautiful wands made out of this wood. But working with it can be difficult. It's very, very easy to wear away the wood with a wood file. It's very, very fast, very quick. It crumbles easily. However, that does also mean that on rather thin builds, if I'm not careful, I can break it. So while you can't see in the sped up version of this video, I am actually being rather gentle with this and praying that I don't go too hard to the point where I end up snapping the wand in two, because, well, that would suck, to be quite honest. I switch files at this point to try and get a little detail towards the end. I use a smaller file to try and sand some of the middle bits out. I then switch to sandpaper. It's just to smooth it all down, really. I don't actually want it too smooth at this point. At this point I'm using a pen and a file to make the groove, the spiral groove that's going to go around it, to make it look like it was part of a tree once. Well, it was wood, it was part of a tree, but it looked like it was taken directly from a tree. This part is surprisingly tricky to do, because I have to try and keep the file at an odd angle while I'm filing backwards and forwards. However, the effect that I get out of it is very, very nice. So just finishing off some sandpaper there, wrapping it around one of my small files just to get into the very small areas. Okay, so to get the black effect on it, I'm going to burn the wand. This actually turned out much nicer than I expected it to. I've burnt several of my wands, but I went rather overboard with this one. I liked the idea of Maleficent going out and finding a piece of charred wood from when she'd broken down a tree when she was a dragon, and deciding that it would make an amazing wand. So I wanted it to look like it was struck down by her when she was in dragon form. I'm literally just darkening the entire wand at this point, and I give it a good rub with my hands, since one of my fingers are so black, just there, to make it all seem a bit smoother, because obviously burn marks leave rather distinctive lines around them. So that's it at this stage. It's coming along quite nicely, but it's still very woody. It does look like it was burnt from a tree, and I've burnt the back of the handle quite nicely, but I do actually go into more detail with that. I actually burn the handle slightly more once I have started the painting on it, because I want to put a purple groove, a purple stain paint line round the groove there. At this point I'm attempting to make a nice purple out of the colours that I have. I tried with some blue and red, as we all know, that goes into purple, but that turned out a really horrible grey colour. So at this point I collect a few more paints and I start trying to get the shade of purple that I want. I find quite a nice metallic pinky purple, but that was a little bit too light, so I tried to mix it with a tiny bit of black and tiny other purple, and eventually I settle on one of them and very lightly pop it into the groove going around the blade itself, and the whole thing turned out quite nicely in the end. It took a little bit to dry, and I had to wipe off some of the paint which had got into the wood points where I didn't want it to, because I wasn't being overly careful, to be fairly honest. And here it is. There we go. That is my take on what Maleficent's wand would look like. As you can see, the horns curve outwards. They're not exactly the same as she would have on her head, but I wanted to have that general feel. And the blade itself is very twisty, and it catches the light in the grooves going along. It's got a very sort of shiny purple, almost silverish, just like a silvery purple, very light. It goes all the way around the wand, starting there and going all the way up like that. As I said, I wanted it to look like she'd burnt down a tree in one of her dragon rages, and then taken one of the pieces and turned it into a wand. Typically, I think it should probably have a dragon heartstring core. Couldn't tell you what tree it was made of. Not entirely sure she could tell you either once she burnt it down. So it's very pointy at the end. It's actually surprisingly sharp. Felt she needed a sharp one, so in case her magic ever failed. Yeah, I don't think Maleficent's particularly like that. But so there we go. Now, if you guys are interested in buying this particular one that you saw made in this video, then please get hold of me at the Pirate Wandmaker. Should appear across the top there. If you look on my Etsy page, that will be Regal Rebellion. I have all my wands that I make up there. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. So in a couple of weeks, I will have another character wand up. I'm going to start a little early on this one, as it requires a feature that is going to take a little preparation to do. I will, however, give you a clue as to what the next one is. You ready? It's Geralt. That's your clue. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. My subscribers are growing quite well. We're over 20 subscribers now. That's absolutely brilliant. It's not quite to the same state as like Logan Paul. But hey, you know, you guys are here for classy ones, not someone just running around being an idiot. So if you guys like that, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.